Hey guys, Dr. Zach Stallmaker here. I lost the beard, if you were wondering why I look different. So anyways, I'm coming to you as I often do in my car. I'm very busy, and so sometimes I find the best time to make videos for you guys is while I'm in transit from one place to another. So I wanted to make this video and just as quickly as I can cover the three areas or the three categories of health that I believe everybody has to focus on if you're going to be able to achieve real health and wellness. If your goal is to reverse chronic disease or avoid chronic disease, there's just three categories that you have to focus on. And when I say have to, I mean that so many of us do a great job too at focusing on one of these three areas, and it's just not enough. So those three, what I want to do is introduce those three categories and then maybe give you guys some real quick tips of things that you can do to help reduce stress in these three areas. So I talk a lot about this in my practice, and I work on this a lot with my patients. So if you're one of my patients, you probably heard this before. If you're not and you have questions, then please feel free to comment wherever I've posted on this, reach out, and we'll try to do the best we can to answer your questions. So the three topics, or the three categories, are the physical, the chemical, and the mental, emotional, spiritual. So I tie all three of those into the third category, all right? And like I said before, a lot of us are really good at the physical. And probably in our culture here in the United States and maybe other places too, but I'll just speak for ourselves here. We think that we are going to be able to out-exercise our poor health or disease or what have you. And a lot of people get it, right? They get the idea that we have to exercise, and we do. We need to stay physically fit. But that is just one area of health and wellness that we have to try and master. The next area is the chemical. Okay, this is what we put into, what we put onto, sometimes what we don't put into our bodies that we really, really need. So there's the physical, there's the chemical, and then the last one's the mental, emotional, spiritual, and that is our beliefs, our connectedness, our stress levels. It could be our family stress, work stress, you name it. All right, so these three areas, I feel like that we just have to begin to reduce the stress and reduce the interference that these three areas can potentially cause in our life. So let's go back to the beginning again. We'll just do a quick run through of these. The physical. This is going to be any type of physical stress that you have on your body. It could be injuries, sports injuries, repetitive sports injuries. It could be repetitive positional or postural interferences or stresses. So it doesn't matter if you're a football player or if you sit at a desk for 10 hours a day. Both of those can be very traumatic on your spine and on your nervous system. It could be a slip and a fall. Kind of categorize those as macro traumas, like the bigger accidents, and then the repetitive micro traumas, the smaller ones that you just do over and over and over again. So solutions to physical issues. Chiropractic. I may be biased, but it's one of the best things that we can do to create movement and alignment and strength and stability in our spine, but more so our nervous system. So this is a huge topic that I always feel the need to help people understand, because most people just assume that chiropractors crack your back and your neck. And any good chiropractor would tell you, and every good chiropractor should aim to become an expert in the spine and the nervous system. If it wasn't for the nervous system, chiropractors would have no business doing what they're doing. But chiropractors are experts in that relationship between the spinal column and joints and the nervous system. So really that physical component of your health could be considered a neuromuscular skeletal issue, and chiropractors are experts in dealing with that. They should be experts in identifying areas of abnormalities in the nervous system, which could indicate problems with the spine or other joints in the body, and be able to give positive information into the nervous system to allow the spine and the nervous system and the muscles to all work more appropriately, and to feed the nervous system, especially the brain, with good information as opposed to bad information. And that's really what the physical focuses on, is at least from a chiropractic standpoint, is looking at areas of dysfunction in the spine. And a good way to say it is that those areas are crying out for help to your brain, and the brain's going, I'm going to do the best I can, and that's what it does. But after a period of time, the brain's doing the best that it can, and it's still having to allow you to experience pain or discomfort or muscle spasm or inflammation or asymmetries in the body. So that's where chiropractors play into the physical. And then a good chiropractor can also give advice on things to do in the gym, exercises to do, workouts, and so on and so forth, stretches, strengthening, etc. So that's the physical. The chemical, what we put into and what we don't put into our bodies, what we put onto our bodies. So here are examples of chemical. Lotions, self-care products, makeups, anything you put on your body, soaps and shampoos, suntan lotions. Or a sunscreen. I watched a really good video of a woman who was considered herself an expert in suntan lotion, and she had some great advice, and she also had made some interesting statements. One being that if you take, the white rub-in suntan or sunscreen, and you apply a full body application to a child, it would be the equivalent of a hormone replacement therapy. That's how many chemicals and hormone-like chemicals are in sunscreen. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking sunscreen or the foods that we eat. We just have to realize that our foods and our lotions and our makeups are so full of chemical toxicity, and if we put it on our skin, we have to realize it's going to enter our body. So that covers a lot of the topicals, and then obviously the foods that we eat and the foods that we don't eat. Our body is constantly trying to detoxify itself. It was created to be able to do that. But one of the negativities and one of the problems that I see is that we're putting so many toxins into our body, and then we are also void of a lot of the nutrients that we need to help detoxify. So our toxicity levels go up, and we're not getting the nutrients that we need to facilitate good detoxification. Not to mention the fact that the foods that are man-made and created these days, it's the equivalent of nicotine and cigarettes. There are a lot of smart people who do a lot of research to help their food companies and their food manufacturers manufacture food that looks a certain way, tastes a certain way, has a certain texture, and it literally is causing us to be addicted. And so we get addiction when it comes to alcohol or drugs, or even pharmaceuticals. That's a really big one these days, is opioids. And we understand that. And we understand the faux pas behind that, but we don't consider food as something that is addictive, and it is. So you may be having to come to that realization that you're addicted to food, and you know what? That's going to be probably the biggest step that you can take in helping to overcome that. Because if you continue to stay addicted to those foods, if you keep making excuses like, I don't like that, or I can't eat that, or I can't drink water, or I don't like that texture, then you're always going to be stuck eating those chemically processed foods that they want you to be addicted to. And so the chemical is a real big issue, and you got to tackle that. And then finally, the mental, emotional, spiritual, maybe one of the most important ones, just depending on you and your body and what you're going through in your life. And it's real. I mean, mental, emotional stress is real. And these are stresses from your workplace, stresses from your family life, stresses from your spiritual life and your spiritual strength. So you've got to understand and be okay with the fact that life is going to stress you out, that you're going to go through issues at your work and at your home and financially, and you can either passively just hope that gets better, or you can actively seek help I was in, again, for me, it's my spirituality. And so, I look to God for a lot of my strength, and it is amazing. It's easily the biggest area of my life where I get a lot of relief, mentally, emotionally, from my spiritual life. But as I have learned, and I learned this in a discipleship group I was in, I couldn't tell you who the quote is from, but it is, you're never going to passively find what you're not actively looking for. And I think that's a great quote. And a lot of us, we expect that we're just going to be okay. We expect that, we're going to be upset about something and it's just going to pass over. And a lot of times it doesn't. But I can tell you, our bodies are not designed to be chronically depressed and anxious and unhappy and unfulfilled. So we have to actively seek that out, just like we have to actively get in the gym and actively make choices about what we're eating. We have to actively look for ways. And for me, it's prayer, it's meditation, it's deep breathing. It is, for me, reading my Bible. It's seeking counsel of other people. It is deliberately and actively trying to reduce interference in my spiritual and mental emotional life. So, quick recap, and then we'll wrap up. We've got the physical, the chemical, and the mental, emotional, spiritual. Those are the three areas that I often tell my patients we have to try and get a handle on. So I hope that this has helped you today, and thank you for tuning in while I'm driving. I can't be as focused as I want to be and looking at the screen, but just know that by working at these three areas, you can really, really, really tackle chronic disease. And I think the research says now that 95% of chronic diseases are lifestyle related. So everything that we just mentioned is within your control to begin working on. And so if you have questions, feel free to post in the comments below. Find us on our Facebook pages. This is most likely going to be on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can always communicate with us on there. But otherwise, just look me up. My name is Dr. Zach Stallnaker, and I'd be happy to help you with your health in any way that I can. So hope this helps you. Have a great day, and tune in for future videos.